Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video we're going to be covering the 5 medallions that were recently added to the game. You've got Aked, Sid, Superia, Goul, and Astoria. We'll be covering the stats needed for the medallions for these heroes. I've had a few people asking me for a video on this. I've been sick lately, so I've just taken a few days off, so I apologize that it's taken this long, but we're back at it, so we'll get into it. We'll cover everything you need to know and hopefully help you boys and girls on your journey. So let's get into it. First up, we have Aked. The 4 stats to prioritize are damage reduction, magic damage reduction, physical damage reduction, and hit points. And to be honest, I wouldn't even put hit points on there. Not a waste if you get them, if you're sick of rolling, if you don't want to roll too much, if you hate the RNG, if RNG is just not in your favor, then hit points, fine. But this character would benefit a lot more from the damage reduction substats over anything else. And if for whatever reason in the future they bring out locking in substats, I would go 2 magic, 2 physical damage reductions for this hero. This hero is arguably the most busted healer in the game at the moment. When his second passive is awakened, he gives 20% initiative to his allies every time they are healed. And this character can do a lot of healing, so keep that in mind. Also, in saying that, he does different things depending on where his HP is at the start of his turn. So for example, with his second passive, if he is above 50% HP, I believe it is 60 or 50, he will heal for 15% HP. If he is below 50% HP, he will deal 15%, I think, damage to the enemy. Above 50, heal. Below 50, damage. So I believe you're going to get way more out of him healing than the damage, because there are other crazy damage dealers on the team. Goul, Superia, Sid, they all do immense damage, so you don't really want the damage from this character. I think the healing is way more important. So give him damage reduction, make sure he's just taking as long as possible to get below 50% HP. There is also one of his abilities that takes percent HP from him to activate its effect. So again, I don't feel like you're going to be getting as much from hit points as possible, because it's going to be percent HP. So, you know, if you've got 500k HP and the damage takes 10%, then you lose 50k HP. If you've got a million, if you boost it up to 1 million, you're going to lose 100k. So you're losing the same amount. You're taking the same amount of damage, but just give him damage reduction. Allow him to just survive as long as possible. His first passive also slows the enemy down when he is hit by them. So again, keeping him up for as long as possible, applying those debuffs, applying that healing, increasing the initiative. That's where you're going to get the most out of him. I know I talked a lot about this character, but he is insane. And if you build him correctly, and yes, I know most of it's RNG, you're going to get insane value out of him. Up next, we have Superia. Pretty straightforward. Crit damage chance, crit damage, attack damage, health steal. To be honest, I'd probably even put health steal just above attack damage, but crit damage chance is absolute priority for this hero. She is an absolute menace in what she can do. She can counter attack. Her attacks are either AoE or multi-strike, and she is going to be doing a lot of things depending on where the HP of the enemy is at. I believe if the enemy's HP is above 60 or 70% HP, she will do an immense amount more damage on that initial strike. So making sure you're getting a critical strike on that first hit is huge, and making sure you have critical damage is going to be a massive boost to this character as well. And she has the ability to increase her initiative with debuffs applied to herself. So depending on how many debuffs she has, her initiative is going to be increased. Pair that with Aked, again, who's healing, will increase her initiative. She's getting a lot of turns. In theory, she should be getting a lot of turns. So if she's just constantly striking the enemy, if she's constantly counter-attacking, and she's getting damage out, and she's just health stealing, and she's staying 100% HP, theoretically, she will just tear through units. She also has inbuilt damage reduction in her kit in arena or tournament. Some of these things are awakenings, but I'm just talking about this character as a whole. If she's a complete unit, you don't need to worry about the health, the damage reduction. She's got that built in her. And this absolute menace of a creature is just going to tear through if she has high crit rate. That's probably the most important, crit rate. And she will be an absolute monster. And that health steal, again, just to keep her healthy, just to keep her going. And yeah, you won't go wrong. Next up, we have the mighty tank of the Chaos Spawn. We have Goul. Stats to prioritize: damage reduction, magic damage reduction, physical damage reduction, and hit points. He is a beast in both tankiness and damage. So you're probably thinking to yourself, why not put some damage stats in there? If you go through his abilities and you read them, you find that they do more damage depending on his health. Now, the one thing I am unclear about, and I'm probably going to confuse people explaining this because I confuse myself, is when it says he does more damage depending on his health, is it number-based or percentage-based? So, for example, he's obviously going to do the most amount of damage possible when he's at 100% HP. But if 100% HP is equivalent to 1 million HP, and you put hit points in his medallion and take him to 1.2 million HP, for example, is he now going to do more damage because he has more health? If that's the case, then hit points would be a bit higher on the list. However, if the damage he's done is based on HP, percentage-wise, then hit points are kind of irrelevant to him, because the percentage is always going to be a percentage. It can't exceed 100%. It can't go below 0%. So doesn't matter how many hit points you funnel into him. Yes, he's going to be tankier, but the percentage is always going to remain. So if that's the case, then I think the reduction substats would be far more important. So his HP is always going to be as high as possible because he's taking less damage from attacks. I think I explained that kind of okay. Let me know if I didn't. If this was just that scene from Happy Gilmore where... No, is it Happy Gilmore? I think it's Happy Gilmore. Or Billy Madison. You know, the one where he goes back to school? And he does that speech at the end and everyone's like, you're an idiot. Yeah. Anyway, Goul. Good. Second last, we have Sid. Sid priority stats, crit damage chance, crit damage, attack damage, damage reduction. Honestly, I'm not even convinced these are the right stats. Going over Sid, he's such a convoluted character. There's so much stuff built in him. There's damage reduction, bonus damage, reduced damage to allies, reduced damage to him, increased damage to enemies. Oh, there is so much built into this character's kit. I feel like you could pick one theme for him and build that into his medallion and you would be okay. He's got too much. He's got too much going on. It's hard to figure out. The reason I say go for damage, because like I said, with everything built into him, he actually has a lot of natural tankiness depending on how many characters are alive, depending on how many characters are dead. He's doing more damage. There's that. This, you could literally pinpoint a board and put those pins all over it. That scene from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, it's an absolute mess trying to decipher this hero. But I think build him as damage. He does take less damage when his allies are alive. So at the moment, you would find he's quite squishy because people don't have him max because he was so difficult to max out. So don't fall for that trap, okay? At some point in the future, I can't say when, you will be able to get this hero. I feel like you will lose a bit of value if you build him tanky because the squishiness you are seeing is from him being incomplete. So I feel like building him as a damage dealer with the damage reduction substat just to be safe, you'll get a lot out of him because he can absolutely demolish an entire team when he gets to his black hole ability and it's set up correctly. So yeah, that's my analysis on Sid. Finally, we have Astoria. Astoria is a glass cannon for those unfamiliar with the term. She's very squishy, can die very quickly, but she is capable of doing tremendous amounts of damage very quickly. Now, with her third ability, the one that shoots like 5 stars down on the enemy, she has a natural 47% crit chance. The ability itself has an inbuilt 30, so it brings you to 77%. So if you can get a bit of crit damage chance into her, you get closer and closer to 100%. It's going to make it all the more impressive when her turn comes back around because you never start with that ability. you always start with her Stargazer. No, Good Omen. I was way off. Her Good Omen ability, which increases crit damage. Then she comes around and then you blast them. So if you got as close as you can to 100% crit chance, then you have crit damage built into her through her buff that she offers, and then you've got crit damage built into her through her medallion. You're going to see a lot of damage come out of her. It can pay off wonderfully if you've got Star Rays. That's the ability, that's what it's called, Awakened, because if that ability executes someone, then it will trigger once more and hit a random target. So you could get wonderful amounts of damage from it. You could line it up to hit a target that doesn't have much HP left. Going to get a lot out of it in raids. PvP, it's a lot harder to trigger because it's PvP. But raids, you have a bit more control over the fights. So yeah, attack damage, I honestly think just crit damage and crit damage chance are priority. I've chucked hit points in there. Honestly, you could mix it with damage reduction. Like I said, she's a glass cannon. She's going to die. She's just very squishy. The only reason you never see her die as often as she should be dying is because the other Cloud Wanderers are just such insane support units. Ranfit, for example, is just the best. Honestly, I still think he is the best tank in the game. And he offers so much protection. So, you know, it makes a squishy character like Astoria seem a lot tankier than she actually is. But if you want to just, if you get a crit damage and hit points, you just take it. I mean, just make her a little bit beefier. Is it going to help? Who knows? It could make a difference in a battle or two here and there. You could go just the damage reduction if you want. That way it covers both physical and magical. You're not going to go one over the other. Otherwise, I would just go hit points or damage reduction if it comes along and as a last resort. But focus on crit damage, chance, and crit damage, attack damage if it comes up. But again, it's not as important as those other two. And yeah, that will get you the most benefit out of this medallion. And those are the current new medallions in the game. So yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I will answer it to the best of my ability. And we're around the world. Until next time, please take care of yourself.